You talked a little bit about the sewer. Obviously, you would have seen in the paper and on other media sites that the city actually dropped, by that I mean filed, the suit against the county. We're at dispute over some sales tax revenue that goes to education. I don't think that'd be new or surprising to anybody in the room. There's certainly a fundamental difference between the city and the county as to who's entitled to those funds. That really will be best left to the court system. It's going to be litigated, and so without getting all into that, I'll talk to you more about why it's important from the county's perspective that we protect those funds. I think it was in 1974 when this agreement really got started and rolling, and then there's some, different perspectives about how long it was supposed to last and what would happen after it was done. But 100% of that fund, those additional funds that were allocated for education, continue to go to education today. They specifically are actually in a restricted fund that we use for school building projects, and that's where it's been all along. There's some dispute about what you could do with it or what was the intent of it when you got it, but that's where it is. It's gone to school purposes all along. That's the most important thing to understand, and it's always went to building programs. And again, why that's so important even today is the census data, without maybe deciding who counts in the census and who doesn't, suggests that we're bringing in about 1,000 people a year into Bedford County. Now, some of that into Shelby, some of the local War Trace, all those places. And so if a third of those are children, and it might be a little higher than that, then let's just round it and say 300 new students a year that we've got to continue to infuse into the system. The new school, Cartwright Elementary, $42 million. It can hold, I believe, 800 is the max for it. They're trying to go into it with about 550 students. In that general area of the city and county, there's over 1,000 homes waiting to be built that have been approved or in the process or what have you. And again, I might be off 100 one way or the other, but I don't think anybody's in dispute that there's a lot of growth in that area and houses that are on the books to be built. And so if you just were to take one child per house, and that's not really what the data suggests, then you quickly figure out that you need 2 schools just to manage that little cluster. And they've also got a cluster over on Union Street, and I don't know, it's hundreds of houses in the end, isn't it?
Yes.
Over in that area.
Yes.
So again, if you apply the same math, obviously we've got a lot of kids coming into the system. And now some people will move from homes that they're in Bedford or Shelbyville now and move to another home in Shelbyville or Bedford. So, I'm not trying to misrepresent the situation, but clearly if 1,000 people a year are coming to Bedford, keep in mind that's 10,000 people in 10 years. And a third of them, 300 or so, are students that have got to be, that would be fresh or new into the system. Where are you going to put them? We've been struggling and fighting to get 800 kids out of portable classrooms in the city of Shelbyville when I took office in 2018. We're on a path to do that. But this throws a wrench in that a little bit if that funding was to be disrupted, because that funding does play into our ability to fund those school building projects and not have to raise property tax. And so that's the big elephant in the room, again, from the commission's perspective. And some of them are here in the room tonight with us. But whatever revenue source would be lost potentially through some kind of litigation or court ruling, the county would be in a situation where they would have to recover those funds from somewhere. And I think some people would say, well, it's not direct education money that it pays teachers and those kind of things. And that is true. They don't call it BDP anymore, but there's a formula for operating schools daily. But the county has an obligation, it's called maintenance of effort. There's a certain amount of dollars that we are obligated year to year to put toward education, no matter what the state funding is. And that number can't go down. And so Bedford, because of our building programs and the amount of money that's having to go to build schools, that dollar amount, which is coming in through that revenue, is counted toward our responsibility of local dollars that have to go into the school system. So if those dollars were removed, those dollars would have to be recovered under the maintenance of effort issue. And the maintenance of effort, again, does really lie on the operations side of schools, but we're choosing for those funds to be in building schools, building school programs. And so that's a little bit about how that works. And for some folks that might say, well, just don't build any more schools till we resolve this. The problem there is, again, the maintenance effort I just talked about. And the fact is that fund is where the annual payments come for the schools that are already built, such as Cartwright Elementary at $42 million was the budget. It's going to come in some under that. We're happy to say we believe we're at least going to be under $1 million there in savings that we've done. So that's encouraging. And we've got some other areas where we're saving some money here or there, and we certainly want to do that where we can. But that's sort of at the heart if you just strip it down. And for some people it might say, well, if you need $600,000 or $500,000 or whatever the number is going to be, so just don't buy a fire truck this year. Again, those are one-time expenses. You could certainly say that. We just won't do that this year to recover maybe the cost of the litigation or something. But the amount of loss, if we were to lose, would be annual. It would happen every year, notwithstanding whatever else happens within the government operation. So that's the important thing. I think that I certainly would want to be as clear about as I can. I know the commission understands that. We're looking at that. Everybody's trying to figure out how this, would play out when it comes to that. Again, the minutia and the details about what was it intended for, how long was it supposed to happen, is it supposed to expire? These are all the kind of things that legal will take up on both sides and take that journey. But I think if I was talking to you from 20,000 feet, I think what we've said here would be the general gist of it. It does not seem to be any clear path to recover those funds without a property tax increase of some kind or a reoccurring reduction of some service within the county system. If it's $2 million, I think their early letter to us, did you quote $2 million?
I think so.
Okay, and I don't know if, and again, this is something that'll all be worked out, but let's just say it was $2 million. I'm not sure if that counts the half that has to go to education or not. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not sure. It's not a dispute really between us, I don't think, in that. But whatever that number is, if it's $2 million, and if the penny in the property tax rate for the county government is, for every 1 penny we collect $130,000, we need 16-cent tax increase to recover $2 million if we were to lose it. Do you follow me? And again, it's not a one-time thing. It's be something that would reoccur year after year after year going forward. Now, on the city side, I did some math, and I was working off of what the newspaper had printed in the past. I believe your tax reduction that you guys did was 11-cent reduction, if that sounds right. And their penny, by the math that I looked at, again, I'm working off of what just the newspaper said, which was about $600,000 reduction.
Right.
Or so, would put them at, their penny being worth about $55,000.
Yeah, 57,000.
Okay, there you go, good. So basically, 2 pennies from the city is about what 1 penny in the county is worth. Do you follow what I'm saying? So their 11-cent reduction is really about 5.5 cents on the county side, if you're tracking what I'm saying to you. So in theory, if they were to be successful in winning that suit, everyone, including the city taxpayers, because they pay county tax, would bear the burden of the increase. If you deducted what they gave back on the city side to them, it wouldn't really be 11 cents off of that. It would be about 5.5 cents because their penny is worth about half of ours. You follow that? So that's sort of the math that goes with that piece of it. So before you glaze over, any specific questions, or do you want more information, or how would you want me to answer a particular question yourself?
So you made the comment of 16-cent increase
To recover $2 million.
to recover $2 million for property tax. Is that talking about an increase on 1 year and remaining, or is that an increase of 16 cents for a certain number of years? Like 16 1 year, 16 the next year?
Yeah, it would be on. Perpetual, or whatever the term is, yeah, it would continue to on and on, unless at some point in life, the penny will grow in value. Where I told you the penny in the county is worth $130,000. If the day comes that the penny is worth $200,000, in theory, it could be fewer cents, but the value of what 16 cents today would generate, the $2 million, will go on and on and on and have to be recovered, because that's how the sales tax works. It goes into the system. The other thing that's unique about sales tax, and why I think it is fair, and I do believe that we're legally correct in our standard, or obviously we would not have went this far as the county, but everybody that comes to town helps contribute to education in Bedford because sales tax. So if you buy bubble gum, stop at convenience, I'm not sure that gas tax goes into it, but anything else you buy, cigarettes, anything else that you buy that's got sales tax on it, and you're here in town, is actually ringing into that if it's $2 million number. If we were to go out away from that model, then 100% of the $2 million would have to come from property tax, in theory. Now, again, yes, you could cut programs. I mean, if you want to take $50,000 out of my budget, there's $50,000. Now you need $1,950,000. You want to cut a fire truck, you can do it one time, but you can't cut it forever. And so when you start dwindling and you say, well, we just won't buy as many pencils or toner or all these operational things, it's personnel that's so expensive. Anybody's got a business knows that's what eats your lunch. I mean, yeah, you can be frugal and tight and not replace towels this week or something or whatever you do, but your significance is in personnel. And because the county and all government is service, I mean, it's people driven. It's not a product in a warehouse that you just hire another company to come in and see if they can't sell your widget for you. So that's the difficulty of it. $2 million is a lot of money for sure. Again, particularly that it's reoccurring and the fact that it must stay with education. So we could rob Peter to pay Paul possibly by cutting or gutting something on the county government side so it frees up dollars to go over there. But those dollars, because of maintenance of effort, if for no other reason, have to stay tied in some capacity to education in regards to the way it is and the way it was built. And so I do think that the sales tax model is a fair model. And the nice thing about that is as revenues have went up through the years, obviously the amount that you receive goes up without raising the rate, which is also true about your property tax. Your penny year to year, at least since I've been around, and even when I was a department head, the penny normally in value is going up every year. Now, some years it goes up a little more than others, but right now the penny in Bedford is, at least in this current budget year, I think we were projecting that it should bring us about $130,000 for every penny of the $2.32 that we do it. And for those that don't know what to make of that sometimes as we talk about cutting taxes, lowering taxes. The tax rate is lower today than when I took office. In 2018, it was $2.52 per thousand. Today, it's $2.32 per thousand. But the check that a consumer or a citizen or a constituent is writing, they're writing a check for more money than they ever have. But the problem there, or what the situation is their property value is going up. And that's the one thing that in law, we're prohibited from having anything to do with assessing what your property's worth or not worth. And so you really have to think about your property value kind of like your 401k. You're much better off if it's going up, even though you're going to have to pay tax on it when you ring it out, than you are for your 401k to be falling. The same would be true with your property tax. And my position would be, whether Randy would 100% agree with this or not, but if the property values, and we use the same property values city and county, that's assessed by the property assessor. So if we say your home's worth $500,000, the city uses that same number. It's just that their penny value is a little bit different. But if property values were to start significantly falling in Bedford County, not only would you then be facing your property values going down, your tax rate would then have to be adjusted upward to balance back your loss. I mean, just like in your home. I mean, yeah, again, you can say, well, why can't he cut this over here? Does he really need a car? Or do they have to take it home? And those things are important to be responsible about, but they're not the significance of the dollars that you have available for real, meaningful, lasting cuts, you might say, or restructuring of your model. In the city, that is true whether you're a city governor or a county governor.
Right.
Our dynamics are a little bit different, but that's all the same. So, what other kind of questions or thoughts? Anything about that that you want to ask or say? Or Mayor?
I appreciate the update. I really do. I guess my question is, I know this is probably the forum to talk about it. I've seen some discussions within this group that's been pretty family oriented, so I'm gonna also address another elephant in the room. I think that for the most part, a lot of folks are just curious if there's been any attempts. You know, we've got the two top leaders in this room, and you guys are both in the Republican Party. I've done my own research. I think I know what's possibly right in this situation. But I guess my main concern is, a lot of folks are concerned that maybe we're just curious if you guys have gotten a room and talked. You know?
We had talks, and he came over to my place, and also talked with some of his council members. There's a lot of back channel stuff that's been going on. I think where the confusion or the sometimes you hear people say, well, it don't seem like that they're trying to work together, or the county won't negotiate, or they won't talk to me, or whatever is going on with it. That, I would argue that's not true. There's been conversations. Where there has not been negotiation, and I don't mind being the one to make that crystal clear, and again, commissioners are in the room, and without giving up attorney-client meetings and things that go with that, the commission's position was that we were not ready or in a position where we thought we could fracture the sales tax structure. Everything else has been on the table. Lots of things have been talked about, from re-energizing the Riverwalk to potentially other areas where we share common interests. So I think it's a little bit misleading. This is not directed at you, but it's a little bit misleading. I read on Facebook, people say all kinds of stuff. But anyway, there have been talks, and you've got a commissioner, he's not in the room with us tonight, but he's prided himself on talking with people and making sure information is being passed back and forth between, and that's good. And I've done it too. If it was, is there a negotiation for the actual structure of the sales tax? Again, it's been my understanding that and it's certainly my position, but it's been my understanding that the commission has been united that we were not interested in fracturing the sales tax structure. Do you stand opposite of that, or?
You know, I think I'm in a place where I at this point, and I would talk about that tomorrow night.
Yeah, and we will have attorney-clients.
So I'll go deeper tomorrow night, but I'm in a place that I need more information.
And you should be able to get it tomorrow night.
But
Now that they've filed their case and all is known there, I would expect the attorneys to come ready to answer most kind of questions that the commission has. And I think the commission should ask, for those of you that are in the room, I think you should ask those questions.
Sure.
Any way, all the ways, backwards, forwards, and upside down, so that you know, eyes wide open, what we're up against.
I appreciate it. You know, I personally have been silent on social media about this issue.
Oh, I didn't direct that to you. I'm sorry if you thought I did.
No. But my comment is simply this, that I know that the comments that have been made have been indicated that there hasn't been an attempt.
Of course. I saw something on there the other night where somebody said that the reason that Walmart don't have any competition is because Chad Graham signed a non-compete with Walmart. And they called me by name. They didn't say the county mayor, because I'd be like, you really meant the city mayor. They called me by name about it. So, I mean, you see all kinds of things on there, and you have people take, like I said, I saw some snippets of people referring to, well, this doesn't have anything to do with education money, and the teachers will get paid no matter what, blah, blah, blah. And I expect that those things will be true, but it is a part of education because maintenance effort requires that we contribute the same dollar amount minimum year to year. Now, not necessarily the tax rate. So if a penny goes up in value, it doesn't mean that you have to give 6 cents this year, but you got to give what 6 cents was last year. You follow me in relation to those things. So all that stuff is tied into itself around those things.